Hi guys, me again. Today I'm going to talk about my diagnosis, when I was diagnosed, how long I've been diagnosed for, that kind of thing, what caused the PTSD. I'm not really going to go into massive detail about that, just a little bit. Also a little bit of background history about me, really. And if we've got time, I'll do some work on side effects of PTSD. So I was diagnosed about 2 years ago, a little bit later than most. I was initially diagnosed at the age of 18 with dissociation because I was going to the doctors constantly with physical kind of upsets, like dizziness and things like that, and they said at the time that it was psychological. So they just sent me to CBT, which is cognitive behavioural therapy, which is just a type of psychology, really. It didn't really work at the time. I've been in therapy since I was 13. I was in therapy through school. The reason I have post-traumatic stress is because of childhood abuse from the age of 9. It lasted until about 13, almost 14. I'm back in therapy again now. I started it about 4 months ago. I'm actually in CBT specifically for post-traumatic stress to deal with it like head on. It seems to be working a bit better this time. The thing is with therapy, it always seems to get a lot worse before it gets better. That's why I'm in a bit of a pickle at the moment with my mental health. Because I've just started it up, it just kind of drags you out a bit. At the beginning of the CBT I'm doing now, so far we've worked on triggers, so starting the triggers, kind of staring them head on. Certain things like, well, for example, a couple of my triggers are a certain aftershave or a picture of a certain person, actually a famous comedian, which looks an awful lot like someone from my past. I've actually done a lot better than I thought I would on that. They basically kind of flood you with the image or the smell, and you have to convince your body, which in turn convinces your mind that it's not scary and it's not threatening and you're not there, you're in the present. And it actually worked quite well, surprisingly. I was surprised myself. We're working on the harder, kind of more intense stuff after the wedding. That was at my request. Having PTSD for so long, I know what my limits are. I know how stressed I can get. It's normal people's stress levels are kind of low. Mine are permanently here, so the slightest bit of stress kind of just tops me off. So I knew that I wouldn't be able to deal with the stress of organising the wedding and trying to combat this horrible thing at the same time. So we're working on the more scary stuff after the wedding. So I'm going to talk a little bit about side effects because just doing this video is really hard for me. Hence all the really chopping all the video together badly, may I add, because there's a lot of points where I just kind of sit and go, what am I meant to be saying? So I think if I explain the side effects of PTSD, it might help you out there understand why I'm talking gibberish right now. Okay, so I've actually downloaded a list of symptoms off of a very helpful website called Positive Action for PTSD. They're an amazing website, and they actually have a page on Facebook as well, which I find really helpful. They're constantly posting like pictures and comments that just explain PTSD really, really well. I reposted a picture recently that had a list of the symptoms, and my friend, her partner, suffers from PTSD quite severely, and she found this so helpful because she didn't realise, like me, that 98% of what she was experiencing every day was his PTSD, and it's the same with me. I didn't realise until I saw the list of symptoms that 98% of my problems, of my mental issues, can all be put in the PTSD box, and it really is quite helpful once you see the list of symptoms. So the list is nightmares, guilt, intrusive memories, poor judgment, survivor guilt, flashbacks, insomnia, anxiety, avoidance, startle response, loss of motivation, lack of feelings, so a numbness, poor self-esteem, negative self-image, hypervigilance, poor concentration, short-term memory loss, helplessness, depression, apathy, ulcers, arthritis, physical pains, mistrust, communication problems, stress, isolation, rage, irritability, and frustration. Now there are quite a few on this list that I fall under. There are a couple I'm quite lucky not to have, which are the ulcers and the arthritis. I get pretty much the rest of them though. Not all at once, but pretty much every day. The ones that really stand out for me are the memory loss is a bad one for me. I'm just horrendous with my memory. Someone will tell me something and I'll turn around and 2 seconds later I would have forgotten completely what they said. That's why it takes me so long to do these videos, because I will sit here for about 3 hours just kind of trying to remember what I'm meant to be saying. Hence this handy wodge of paper. The lack of feelings, the numbness, I get that quite a lot when I'm having a really bad week or a really bad day. That tends to come on then. That's not an everyday thing. My flashbacks are more common than most. I get these are really quite distressing for me. I get them very, very minimum of once an hour. I actually surprised my therapist a few weeks ago by just the sheer amount of flashbacks I get in a daytime. Between that and intrusive memories or intrusive thoughts, I get them every 5 minutes. One or the other every 5 minutes. This is why it's so exhausting having PTSD, and I'm sure a lot of you can
relate.
That's what I was thinking of. Thanks. That's what he's here for. I'm sure a lot of you can relate with that. That's a prime example of me forgetting things. Yeah, it's just mentally exhausting, because you just think it's just like having masses of stuff going round over your head constantly, just going round and round and round, and it's just exhausting. Not always physically, but mentally, because my brain is constantly thinking about something one after another, and I don't get time to rest. In a completely different video, I'll be doing some work on mindfulness, which it does help to a certain degree, but that's me personally, so it may help other people better than it helps me. So about my dissociation, I haven't actually googled the official what it means, but to me, I developed dissociation at a very young age, unintentionally. My brain developed it as a coping mechanism to deal with the abuse. Dissociation in a nutshell is kind of like an out-of-body experience. My brain's still there and I'm conscious, but it just kind of takes me to a different place. And I suppose it is very much like an out-of-body experience. You don't feel like you're there. You can kind of hear what's going on around you, but you just feel completely mellowed. You don't really know what's going on. The trouble is, because my abuse was every day for 4 years, my brain had to use this trigger. It had to use this defense quite regularly, which means I no longer have control over it. It kind of controls me to a sense. So the slightest thing is constantly there every day. I'm constantly dissociated, but I have good days and bad days with it. The good days, I don't particularly notice that much that it's there, and the bad days, I just don't really know what's going on, and I can sit for hours and just stare at one spot on the wall and quite happily do it, to be honest. My brain tends to just take itself off whenever it needs a rest. That's the way I like to think of it. For me, dissociation now is my brain's way of resting. So if it's feeling a bit stressed, then it will just kind of pop off and have a bit of a rest. It's not particularly nice, but at the time it doesn't really bother me because obviously I don't really notice it's happening. It's only when you come back around and you think, oh my god, where did that last hour go, that you realise it's happened. So dissociation can be quite helpful sometimes, obviously in uncomfortable situations that you don't particularly want to be in. It will take me away, but it also has a major downside that it will do it in any situation. So I've missed many nice situations that I really didn't particularly want to disassociate from. Like today, for example, I had a reconfirmation of my baptism ready for my wedding, and that was about 3 hours ago, and I can't remember one single bit of it. It's quite depressing that I miss so much of my life. I have a massive chunk of my life missing, and that's my phone. I have a massive chunk of my life missing from the age of 5 until 15 that I just don't remember from. I have the odd tiny memories, normally silly little ones, that I will remember, but family members always say to me, oh, do you remember when this happened, or do you remember this person, they used to babysit you all the time, and I'm just like, I really don't remember it, and it really quite upsets me. Especially when it comes to my wedding, and my partner, he's just been such a star about the whole thing. He knows how important it is to me and how likely I am going to forget it by the next day. We've actually made sure that we've got the photographer that we absolutely wanted, and we've made sure we've paid extra for a decent photographer just so I will remember the day, because we know that it's just not going to happen if it's down to me. And it really chokes me up, really, because I want to remember the day and I want to be there and I want to be present and experience it and enjoy it, and I just know that I'm not going to be, and it's really hard, but hey, it's life.
Well, that's disassociation.
Yeah, hey, that's disassociation. So I don't know if I'm kind of scooting over things and talking too fast and talking nonsense. So if I am, please let me know and I will slow down or try and explain things a bit better. I'm just kind of blabbering, getting used to the camera and getting used to the sound of my own voice, which is really strange. Yeah, so if there's anything else anyone wants to know, or any more details or information, just let me know. I'll try and remember to put the link for the Positive Action for PTSD website down below the video. Please check it out because they're doing an awesome job of trying to make PTSD worldwide and known everywhere. So yeah, thank you for watching. Bye!